Hi, this is Dr. Lorene Richards Usher with your seventh session of our 52 learning sessions for this year 2025 under the theme Visionary Parenting. These sessions are created especially for all our parents out there. Our focus this week is the power of parental role modeling with the objective to understand the profound impact of parental role modeling on children's behavior and values. We have three key topics that we're going to be diving in this week. Number one, addressing common struggles as parents. Number two, parents managing personal biases and breaking negative cycles. Number three, strategies for self improvement as a role model. Let's look at some common parental struggles. Children learn how to cope with stress by watching how their parents handle it. If parents react with frustration, anger, or avoidance, children may adopt similar behaviors. Teaching emotional regulation through the role modeling foster resilience in kids. Now, last week, I referred to you with the psychologist Bantura, the learning theory, which says how children how children observe and imitate behavior. He was the one that did this study, and he actually came with the results that children actually imitate everything that they see from their parents. Now, addressing these common parental struggles, one of the major common parental struggle is the stress. Oftentimes, parents go under stress and they do not know how to regulate it. I see this in my office oftentimes. Parents come in with an attitude, cursing, swearing, even threatening. And one of the things that I do to deflate that type of behavior or emotion is for me as a principal to remain calm. And they would act up and go on and go on and go on. My child will never do this. My child will never do that because my child don't see that in the home. And I'm sitting there watching all of this type of behavior. And you know already what I'm saying in my mind. This is what they're modeling for their children. Now, one of the things as a principal that has helped me over the years working with parents is to remain calm, because actually when they come in like that, it's not about me. It's the stress that they're under. And when they see that I'm sitting calm, even though they're trying to attack me as the principal, and I am remaining calm, it actually helped them to calm down. And when they calm down, that's the time we're able to talk. And we're not talking at this time as a principal to parent. I actually identify myself with them with the problem. And then this is when they start opening up, and I am able to actually help them, advise them how to actually handle the stress that they're carrying, and remind them also that their children are watching them with this type of behavior. And it's the same way that your child is reacting when your child is stressed out. When we do this, diffuse a situation, especially like stress, it helps to foster resilience in our children. And let's look at some practical strategies here. Model healthy coping mechanisms. Apologize when necessary. Prioritize self care. Involve kids in stress management programs. Now, parents, these practical strategies to model healthy coping mechanism, this is very important. Well, the entire message here that we're bringing out week after week, they're very important. And that is why I constantly repeat in myself that is very important. This is just to call our attention that parenting is not easy, is more so to be intentional. Now, model healthy coping mechanism. This is to actually help our children. One of the things that we can do here, and as we look at this picture here, this is a role model picture with this dad and his son, taking the time to talk to him. And one of the things that I encourage my students to do when I see that they're actually worked up and they're frustrated and they're handling situations that they cannot manage well, I often ask them to raise their right hand as if they're going to do a pledge, and take that right hand, put it over their heart, and feel that heart beat. Once they're feeling their heart beat, I ask them to just count from 1 to 10. And they would actually do it because I count with them. And I ask them now, count on reverse your counting from 10 to 1. And most of the times, you find that they get calmed right down, and we're able to talk and analyze. Parents, even for you, you can actually practice this and also help your children to practice it along with you. Apologize when necessary. We're not perfect. As parents, we try to be intentional, but because of the hardship of life and different things that we manage as parents, sometimes it slip us. But you know what? When we actually recognize and we reflect back on the behavior that we actually performed before our children, call your family together, call your children, your entire family together, sit and have a conversation with them. Apologize. Let them know that you recognize the way how you reacted, that's not the right way. And that's not the way you want them to emulate when they're in a frustrating situation. Just sit with them and have the conversation. Tell them, let us talk about what happened today. I was overwhelmed with a given situation and I just snapped. But I'm sorry and I'm apologizing because I don't want you to emulate this behavior. Just keep repeating that. And they're going to understand because once you move away from that, you keep, when they find themselves in a situation like that, they are going to apologize. Prioritize self-care, parents. This is so important. And this is my crutch. I keep saying it is very important because I'm saying it with a passion. I have lived this for years, working with children and parents, and I see what is important to them as children for them to move forward successfully in life. And that is why the topic for this week is the power of parenting role modeling, because these are the things that we're bringing to you to show you exactly what work and what does not work. Involve kids in stress management programs. What type of stress management programs? Programs like put them in sports. Sports kind of a help with team work, team play. Also, I remember when my kids were growing up, I actually put them in, everybody was kung fu fighting, learning to defend themselves, learning to kick out that anger, that frustration. That is also something that can help them with their stress. Because you know what? These programs, they also they are self-discipline, and they learn self-discipline to regulate their emotions. If someone is winning, if they're on a team and the other team is winning, the coach is going to help them to regulate their emotions, and this will help quite a bit. Now, modeling healthy tech usage. Children observe how often parents are on screens, what they prioritize, and how they balance technology with real life interactions. If parents constantly check their phones during conversations, children may learn that devices take precedence over human connections. This is clear. I just want to give you an example that I witnessed the other day when we went out to eat. And this is recent. Went out to a restaurant to eat, and I saw a mother came in with her two sons. And my thing is, when I go anywhere, I usually am very observant when it comes to children and their parents. As I look at this mother, in my imagination, I thought, okay, this mother looks like a hard working woman, and she also looks like a single parent. I don't know why that just jumped out of my imagination, but that's what I observed. I also observed that this mother is trying to have some time, some special time with her two sons. But the sad part about it was this: they sat down, they asked for their meal, and you know what? Mom took out her phone and started scrolling through the phone. So you know what happened now with the children? Our two sons start doing the same thing. And I sat there and watched that picture. Pathetic. She's there to spend quality time with her two sons, but the three of them was actually spending the quality time on the technology. So they was not even in touch with each other. And so the picture looks like this: family sitting together on their devices. They're together, but they're not connecting. They're not engaging with each other. They're not interacting with each other. Just look at that picture. And so, parents, I want to encourage you to set tech-free zones and times. What this means, it simply means that you must have a time when there is no phone, especially when you're having dinner. You come out to a restaurant to have dinner, or you're at home having dinner, the phones and all the technology must just put away. Put away in order for the family to interact together. I read somewhere that this family actually, every time they come to sit together to have dinner, they have like a bowl in the center, on the center of the table. And in this bowl, they have strips of papers which starts conversations. I thought that this was just cool because when they sat down together, they start picking out these strips of papers, and whoever pick out whatever topic, that individual from the family will start a conversation on that. And that conversation to it will escalate to different things, and it becomes a big interactive moment and a happy moment with the family. Just imagine what that looks like. And when I read that, I actually remember when I was growing up. It took me back to my childhood days. I could remember my parents was hardworking parents. But one of the things, because of our religious belief, we gathered on Friday evenings. And on Friday evenings, one of the things that my parents often do, my dad had a best friend. I can remember him clearly. Every Friday evening, he would come over, and all of us, seven children, mother, father, and his friend, they would sit down and they would discuss the Bible in and out, and we had to sit there and also participate. That was every Friday evening. And not only that, my mom would prepare a special meal, and we would sit around the table while we're eating and having these big discussions. And this is one of the things that have helped us as a family, or the children, to actually stay grounded in our base community of faith, because we learned that in the home, spending quality time together. Parents, I want to encourage you also to model mindful tech usage. What this means is probably you might having dinner, and the rules and regulations of having dinner is for the family not to use the phone. But now, let's say mom or dad, has an emergency call, and this has to, in a way where they actually have to answer the phone. It is important for you not to just rush and take up the phone like that. You have to respect the family rules and regulations. So this is how you're going to do it. I am putting on my phone right now because this is an emergency call that I need to take. But I'm apologizing that I have to actually break the rules. Because, in every given situations, we have emergencies. So when these emergencies take place, we need to know how to actually handle it. Because remember, you are modeling. Your child might have an emergency as well, and the child will do the same thing. Just apologize. Why is it? And say, just be clear, just be transparent what is going on, why you have to engage in that particular conversation. All right? Have moments, parents, when you engage in screen free activities together. What this means is that there are times when you're going to actually shut down that device and do reading. Reading time. Set the time when everybody is reading in the house. Okay, this time from 7 to 8 or from 7 to 7:30 or from 8 to 8:30, whatever time you set, this is reading time. So everybody will have a book in their hands. And not only just how you see the family sitting there with the phone in their hands, at times you need to sit where the family sit just like that with a book in your hands. You're learning something. And when you finish reading, each other shared exactly what they learned from the reading at the time. Not necessarily all the time it has to be reading. It could be a board game. You sit down and play a board game together because you're interacting and you're getting involved in the game, and you whatever game you're playing, you are learning from it. One of the games that, and we still have it, my kids are grown, but one of the games that we we used to play a lot when the kids were growing up is From Egypt to Canaan. They love that game. And we play, children play against the parents, play with that game. We actually learned the Bible in and out because that was also a Bible game. It was very, very interesting. As a matter of fact, I am recommending it to you. From Egypt to Canaan. If you have little children, that's a fun way to learn the scriptures. Be transparent about tech boundaries. And we actually went through that, so I won't go over that again. When we say be transparent, if you have to take an emergency call, when you should be off the device. All right, let's see how we manage personal biases. Every parent carries unconscious biases shaped by their upbringing experiences and societal influences. Biases impact how we react to situations, discipline, and communicate with our children. If left unchecked, biases can lead to favoritism, unfair treatment, or reinforcing harmful stereotypes in children. Wow, this is deep. Let's break it down here. Now, a lot of us grow up with different types of cultures, different type of beliefs and biases. Um, and I'm sure parents, you can identify yourself with this. I'm going to tarry a little bit here to kind of refresh our minds, because I think that all of us as parents, been through these type of situations. And we grow up and we said, you know what? When I become adult and I have my children, I am not going to do that. But unconsciously, because it is part of our makeup in our minds and we have it in our brains, we unconsciously we actually repeat these type of mistakes. Now, when we talk about biases with our children, I'm going to show you some of the biases that we actually make mistakes with. Let's look at gender biases. I have seen in some cultures, because I've lived in different places, I've seen in some cultures, if parents do not have a man child as the firstborn, they are not happy with that. In other words, they believe that the firstborn should be a man child. That's cultural. And also, I've seen in families where you have boys and girls, that the boys receive the better treatment than the girls. The boys can go out and play sports, they can go and do this, they can go and do that. The girls must stay home and take care of the home. Help mommy to clean, help to wash the dishes, help to cook, and all of that. I have seen also, live long enough to see also, where the girl child must be the one to cook and always serving the brother. Those are gender biases. And parents, this is some practices that occur in different cultures, but not because they occur in different cultures, it means that this is correct. Because if you belong to a community of faith, you will realize that, you know, God created everyone equal and everybody with a purpose. Now, academic and intelligence bias. If your child is an A student, oh, you make a big deal about that. And you scream and you tell everybody about that and you boast about that. But you never actually reinforce the effort that was put in it. That is important. And I think we did that last week or the week before. Make sure you also reinforce and applaud the effort. Because in order to get an A, your children, your child, they have to work for it. And if we practice that, our children will always do their best because they know that the effort part of it is always well received. Then we have the behavioral bias, where we look, if we have more than one children. Oh, this one is shy. This one is outgoing. She is a troublemaker. This one is a smart one. And you know what we do with that, parents? We limit the potential of our children. Because we have to remember this and keep this present, that your children have different personalities. And every personality brings its positive and its negative. And that is why we got to be intentional parents. And we have to have that self and personal development so that we know exactly how to handle these type of personalities so we can bring out the best version of our children within their given personalities. And then we have the cultural or social bias, where we stereotype our children. If one of our child looks like me, the mother, or like the dad, or like one of the family that you think in your mind that is good looking, then you know what? That's the child that we love the most, that we give more attention to. And that is not good. That is not good. These are some common parental biases that we bring in the circle and we model to our children, and they actually grow up doing that same thing. I remember when I migrated here to United States, I was living actually in Costa Rica, and we were living on the university campus. We were the only black family on that campus. My children were born there. And when we migrated here to the United States, they were very small. The younger one was just 3 years old. And when we came in, I got a job immediately. So I had to put him into pre pre-K, pre-kindergarten. And when I took this little boy to kindergarten, when he looked around and he saw that was only black children, mind you, his parents are black, was only black children in that classroom, he started crying down the place. Crying down the place, and he would not sit next to none of those children. He pointed at the time, he didn't speak English, he was just speaking Spanish. And he pointed to the teacher, he looked around. Mind you, it was 3 years and a half. He looked around and he pointed to the teacher and showed her exactly where he wanted to sit down. He wanted to sit next to a little boy that was fair skin. And that is 30 years ago. And he's still friend. As a matter of fact, that is his best friend. Still friend with that young man. What I'm saying here, the culture is what set up that type of social bias. And us, the parents, probably we didn't tap into it at the moment. And then that's why this behavior manifests the way how it manifested. But it's important, parents, at a young age, let your children know who they are and whose they are. Let's move on. Breaking negative generational cycles. Wow. When I look at this one, it actually, looking at this parent, and I want you to observe this picture carefully because I know that a lot of you can resonate with this. Why? Because some of us was brought up under this type of negative generational cycle. The first one, authoritarian parenting, where is strictly the rules instill fear in our children is based on discipline. Now, that is good. Discipline is good. But I'm going to tell you, if you have this type of parenting style, start dissolving it right now. Because you know what is the result of this type of parenting style? All you're going to get is immediate result. You're not going to get a long-term result. Because when your children become of age, they're gone. They are gone and they're going to do everything contrary to what you said. Because the research give us the result of this type of parenting. And then you wonder, what did I do wrong? I taught my child everything that was right. Yes, but everything was out of fear, was not out of love. So instead of doing this type of authoritarian parenting style, model respectful communication. Model respectful communication. A more authoritative. Authoritative style is a style that you give authority and respect to your child with love. And the child is going to respond back to you with the same thing. Because remember, you are modeling that to your child. Another generational cycle that is negative is suppressing emotions. And I know some of you can resonate with this, fathers especially. I'm sure that you heard, boys don't cry. Girls must be polite. Is this correct? No, it's not correct. What are we supposed to do in this? With this? Teach healthy emotional expressions. Like, boys must be polite, yes. Girls must be polite. Boys do cry and girls do cry. You know why? Because we have emotions. God created us with emotions. And crying is a part of releasing our sad emotions. Crying is also a language that God understands. Number three, avoiding hard conversations. Negative generational cycles. Do not do hard conversations like money talks. You know, they feel like talking money talks with their children is going to give ideas to the kids that, mom and dad, we have money. Not at all. These conversations we need to have with our children. How to gain money, you know, how we can become wealthy. What can we do to do that? We don't talk about the mental health because in first time days, we use expressions like if somebody have a mental condition, oh, that person is crazy. And that's it. They lock them up somewhere, hide them somewhere. These are conversations that are negative generational cycles. What can we do instead? Create an open, safe space for tough topics. Sit down. Sit down, mother and father. If it's just one parent, sit down with your support group. Sit down with your circle, your community circle. Sit down, have these conversations, have the children in the midst of these conversations. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? When we sit and have these conversations with our children, you know what is going on? We're helping to mature their brain. We're helping them to think wisely. We are depositing wisdom into their bank of knowledge. By the time they become adults, they can make wise decisions. Practicing self-improvement. I want you to look at this picture carefully. And this is where we actually find a message this evening of the topic that we are discussing this week, which is the power of parental role modeling. Being a positive role model doesn't mean being perfect. It means being intentional, self-aware, and committed to grow. Let me repeat this. Being a positive role model doesn't mean to be perfect. It means being intentional, self-aware, and committed to grow. This is the power. This is the power of a parental role model. And if we actually embarked on this, just imagine what your children are going to look like in the next few years. Practicing self-awareness is to regulate self-check-ins. What this is telling us, When you regulate your self check ins, acknowledge your mistakes openly, seek feedback from others, commit to lifelong learning. These points, we actually did them last week. So we're just going to rush through them because you can listen to the recording to see exactly what this means. Self check. Self check is when you reflect on yourself, reflect on your behavior, reflect on what you're modeling to your children, acknowledge your mistakes openly. Have these discussions with your children. And when you do that, they also are going to model exactly what you do. Seek feedback from others, your same children. Seek feedback from them, and commit to lifelong learning, because the more we live, the more we learn. That is why we have these resources. We bring them to you to help you parents. These were created for all our parents out there. Aligning actions with value. Identify core family values. The power again, the power of parenting modeling. Identify core family values. We went over these last week. It's important that you set up the core family values. Why? When you set up your core family values, you live by those values consistently. And not only live by them consistently, every decision that is made within the family, they are made based on the values. And that is clear. Clear, clear. Parents, I want to encourage you. This is the exercise for you this week. I want you, you have your journal ready, to write down your current stress response in a journal and brainstorm one way you can model a healthier alternative. Number two, analyze your own screen habits and commit to one small change in how you model your tech usage at home. Reflect on all of these two questions. They're powerful for this week. Because at Parenthood Consultancy Services, we are championing parents for legacy success. Parents, parental journey is not easy. It's not easy. But if we are intentional, it is going to be easy. Don't forget that Philippians 4:13 tells us that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, through Christ who strengthens you. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you on Thursday evening. We are on live. You can come on to ask your questions, and we are readily available to meet with you. Thank you.